This lesson is impressive C# date time handling. Let's just dive right into a demo and look at the different date time properties. On line 1, create a DateTime instance called DT and set it equal to DateTime.now. You can then type in hour, or minute, or year, or month. You have lots of different properties, and what I've done is I've created a series of console.writelines to show us what each one of these properties returns. Let's go ahead and run this, and here we can see date is equal to the date portion. It always sets the time to midnight when you're returning just that date property, so you just ignore the time. We have day, which is the 20th day of the month. We have day of the week, which gives us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. We have day of the year, month, year, hour, minute, second, even milliseconds that we can get at. Kind returns whether we're looking at the local time or a universal time. And then a tick since midnight, and then the time of day. So lots of great properties. A lot more than these. These are just the ones that you'll probably interact with most often. And now let's take a look at the methods on the DateTime structure. Using our same DT variable, I can call each one of the methods. Now notice on lines 3 and 4, I have dt.ToString, and then I just have simply dt. When you use a variable by itself and it's of the type structure or object or anything like that, it's going to just simply call the ToString. So those two lines are equivalent. In fact, you see the little dots underneath there. That's Visual Studio telling us that ToString is unnecessary. I then have a series of add methods, AddDays, AddHours, AddYears. Of course, there's many more like add minutes, add seconds. And to each one of these, you can pass either a positive number or a negative number. Just depends on whether you want to add days in the future or subtract days. We have a method IsDaylightSavingTime. It'll return a true or false. We have ToLocalTime and ToUniversalTime. ToLocalTime should give us the exact same value as the ToString. ToUniversalTime would, of course, give us the Greenwich Mean Time. Then we have ways of getting back a long date string or a long time string, or a short date string or a short time string. Let's go ahead and run this. And we can see what each one of these looks like at this point in time. So we have the ToString, we have the add days, so we add one day or we take away a day. We have AddHours, AddYears. We have an IsDaylightSavingTime that returns true. We see the local time exactly the same as the ToString. We see the ToUniversalTime, which gives us that universal time. Then you see the different ToLongDateString, ToLongTimeString contrasted with the ToShortDateString and the ToShortTimeString. Lots of great methods. And again, this is by no means all of the methods that are available. These are just the ones you'll probably use most often. Let's now take a look at the different ways that you can format the date and time. You've seen the ToLongDateString and the ToShortDateString, but there's a lot more ways that you can format these dates and times. There's a method called GetDateTimeFormats that returns an array of all of these various ways to format the date and time. So we're going to iterate over that using a for loop. For int index equals 0 while index is less than getDateTimeFormats.length and then index ++. And then each time through we'll simply report that on the console. So let's run this, and now we can see there are quite a few formats that we can do. Look at all of these. So you can just take a little look here. You can see all the various ways that you can format these things. You probably don't want to do things by remembering an index number, of course. So let's take a look at how we can do this a little differently. If you navigate to this URL in your browser, you'll come up on the standard date and time format strings that you can use with dates and times. So you can see this table here. You see a lowercase d, and that's the short date pattern. You see an uppercase D, that's a long date pattern. You see a lowercase f, that's a full date time. And you see an uppercase F, which is a full date time as a long time. So how do we use these? Well, you simply pass it to the ToString. Now remember I showed you the ToLongDateString and the ToShort, so they built those in, but they also can be shortened to just simply using this. So if we did a uppercase D, it'll give us the longer format of a date. If we give it a lowercase d, it will give us the shorter version of that. And then remember there's like an F. Okay, so that's the full date time pattern. And we have an uppercase F here. So you have a lot of functionality that you can do here. Now, something else you could do if you want to just see those formats for long date times, what you can do is you can actually iterate over them. So you can pass this D to the GetDateTimeFormats, and it'll show you the representation of the pattern that you can get back. So lots of different patterns that you can get, and those match up with the ones that you'll see on that website. So definitely take a look at that. You're also allowed to build your own custom formats. And we do that by navigating to this URL and then looking up the table of description of what each thing will give you. So a lowercase d gives you the day of the month from 1 to 31. Double D will simply add on 01, 02. It'll add to 0 to anything that's not 2 characters. DDD gives us the abbreviated day of the week. The 4 Ds there will give you the full day of the week. And then we have seconds and milliseconds and all the different date time things. We have months, we have minutes, we have years. There are so many ways that you can put together a date time format. So let's take a look at a couple. To use those custom specifiers shown in that table, you pass it to the ToString. What happens is the ToString looks at that string and says, if it's not just a single letter, it knows to now use the custom specifiers. So I'm going to do just a couple of formats that you see here. I've got a 4 uppercase M's, space DD, comma, YYYY. And then on the next one, I've got a 4 Y's dash DD dash MM. And let's take a look at what each one of those then looks like. So you can see the output now. And I did that custom with those custom specifiers. Almost any format you want, you can put together using these different custom date time formatters. Let's now take a look at the date-only structure and its various properties and methods. The date-only is another structure that only gives us the date portion. So think of it like the date time, it only gives us the date portion. In fact, you do have a DateOnly.now property that you can use, but I thought I'd show you another method here called FromDateTime. So if you already had a date time variable, you can actually get just the date portion from that. Then you can do the typical things like, give me just the date, give me just the month, give me just the day, and give me just the year. So when we run this, we see exactly what you'd expect to see. Very simple data type, but very easy to use. And if you don't need that time portion, definitely take advantage of the date-only structure. And let's take a look now at the time-only structure and its various properties and methods. Just like the date-only structure, time-only gives us just the time portion from a date. And again, we have a from date time, so if you already have a date time variable, you can extract just the time portion from that date time structure. And then we can print out the whole time using the ToString or the inferred ToString, as you see there on line 3. And then we can print out the hour, the minute, the second, the milliseconds. Again, lots more properties than what I'm showing here on these, but I just wanted to give you a taste of what these look like. In this lesson, we saw that numeric types have a lot of properties and methods in common, and then additional methods are added on as needed for each numeric type. DateTime has properties to extract each part of the date and the time, and you can format those dates and times in a multitude of ways using either built-in standard formatters or you can build your custom ones. We also can use date-only when we just need the date portion and the time-only structure when you just need a time. Coming up in the next lesson, converting data from one type to another. Do you know why you should subscribe to YouTube channels? You'll get notifications when new videos appear. You'll get recommendations for related channels. It helps the channel grow, which allows me to create more videos for you. It helps attract others to my channel. Your like helps others find videos that are good. So please take the time to like and subscribe to my channel, Paul D. Sheriff.